All right, everybody, let's get back into it. It is time to take a look at another work by Peter Paul Rubens here. So let me pull that up for you. All right, here I am talking to you this time. I think I've clicked on the correct screen-o-matic version here to teach you about what else was very common in the whole body of artwork on the part of Peter Paul Rubens. Okay, so this is part two of the two videos I'm doing on Peter Paul Rubens, and then the third video will be about Van Dyck. All right, so look for that coming up next. All right, I'm just giving you a sort of a sense of what it's like to see some of the works by Peter Paul Rubens in a museum. It's good to have, a sense of human scale in comparison to a large-scale artwork. And remember, of course, that Peter Paul Rubens seemed to enjoy working at a larger scale. We saw that with the Elevation of the Cross, and now we're seeing it with our next painting. So I'll give you the title in just a minute here, but what you can see is it's part of a series of paintings, large-scale paintings, that he executed for a very high-profile client. Okay, so let's move on, and again, taking a look at the art of Peter Paul Rubens as an example of Flemish Baroque art of the 17th century. So here we have our next painting. It's one of the series here. This one is the only one we're going to look at. It's called Arrival of Marie de Medici at Marseille from 1622 to 1625. So what we find here is a name that may sound familiar. You're like, Medici, I kind of know that name from back in the Renaissance, back in Italy. The famous Florentine family, who, of course, were quite successful in banking, kind of launching them as a powerhouse family dynasty that eventually, of course, their tentacles of power spread to the Vatican, having Medici as popes and cardinals and that kind of thing as well. So, when you're a member of a prestigious family, and you're a daughter of a prestigious family, you're going to find that your marriage is probably going to be arranged for you. And that was true with Marie de Medici. So who she would marry would be the King of France. The King of France, well, that's a pretty high profile love match made between the two of them. So later on, when she was the Queen of France, she commissioned Peter Paul Rubens to execute this series of portraits of kind of like the highlights of her life or the high points of her life, almost like, hiring an author to write your biography, except he's doing it through painting. So we're looking at the early time in her life when she sailed to the French port of Marseille to become the future Queen of France. So you see the ship here, this elaborate, golden barge, or maybe it was a galleon, I guess, with masts and, sails deployed and blowing in the wind. And here is the beautiful, bride-to-be in, resplendent, glamorized in this beautiful, silver dress with gold detailing and rough, collar. She's surrounded by her ladies in waiting, and they've literally rolled out the red carpet for her arrival, right? This is a painting that you probably are already getting a sense of is most definitely over the top, right? And this is something that, Rubens knew how to pull all the tricks out, right? To really glamorize an event that really did happen. It was a historical event, but he's using, powers of enhancing beauty. He's using allegory as well to really sensationalize this arrival on the part of Marie de Medici. All right, so not only does she look beautiful, but we also have Again, allegorical elements, things that are not based in reality, right? Like trumpeting angels. There were no trumpeting angels there. This has just been thrown into the painting again to underscore the momentous occasion. Another thing you find in the painting is this figure here. And it is a figure about to bow, right? And welcome the future Queen of France in the form of Marie de Medici. We can't see his face because it's not really meant to be somebody specific who was actually there to receive her on the part of the French court. But we have a cape here, and the details on the cape are the royal emblem of the French court of the king, and that is a fleur-de-lis. So a fleur-de-lis might be something you're familiar with. It's literally translates to lily flower. It's a popular design motif to this day on fabrics and upholstery and anything that's, loosely associated with being French might have a fleur-de-lis as a design motif, very popular to this day. So what that person it represents is a personification, right? And a personification is an idea or concept in human form. So this person is the embodiment of the French court welcoming Marie de Medici to France. Below here, below the gangplank here, and let me take away myself so you can see the view a little bit better here. We have additional spectators, if you will, who are completely based in fantasy, in fact, in mythology. So we have Neptune, the king of the sea, this bearded man in the water here, surrounded by other of his kind of mythological demigod minions. One's blowing a trumpet in the form of a conch shell. That, again, it's these mythological beings. And then we have a trio of females, also kind of like nymphs from the sea, who are there to greet and welcome Marie de Medici to France to become its future queen. So again, it's meant to be over the top and frothy. Everything is gold or silver. The sunlight is shimmering. The wind suggests a momentous occasion is blowing into town, so to speak. So again, it's like the only thing the painting is missing is a marching band maybe, and fireworks, and the kitchen sink to throw on top of everything else. And so it, along with its large scale, measuring at 13 feet by 10 feet, is Peter Paul Rubens. He lived bigger than life in reality, right? He was a mover and a shaker, and he knew all the powerful people in Europe. And when it came to pleasing his prestigious client, the Queen of France, he knew how to be the official glamorizer. This is a little detail shot of Marie de Medici here, right? And there's that personification of the royal court of France and the fleur-de-lis design motif that you may be able to recognize now in a little bit of a close-up view. So back to these figures here. I just wanted to show you something. As a common term used in popular culture is to reference someone's physique as Rubens-esque, and it applies to women because you might notice that he doesn't bring on those Michelangelo rippling muscle types when he describes the female body. But you can recognize any Rubens in any museum in the world because of this kind of voluptuousness, these kind of doughy physiques, is something that people describe as Rubens-esque. It's a body type that's very popular in popular culture. Just think Beyonce, just think, you know, Kim Kardashian. It's a Rubens-esque body type, so it's meant to be complementary, definitely. And I'm on board with that, especially with my love of good eating um, um, and living as well. All right, guys, that's it for Peter Paul Rubens and the arrival of Marie de Medici um, at Marseille. Again, another example of Flemish Baroque art.